Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us on today's webinar, Marketing Your Products Online. I'm Colette DePhelps, and I'll be moderating your webinar today. And our speaker today is Kate Painter. Kate is showing the slides from her computer, so she'll be advancing them. And Kate is in Boundary County, which is our most northern county in Idaho. I'm located in Moscow. I want to go over a couple of webinar tips to make this the best experience that you can have today. Sometimes your bandwidth for watching a webinar can be limited, so if you close all the other programs running on your computer, that could be helpful. If you have any problems with your sound, in your welcome email where you were able to find the link to today's webinar, there is a call-in number. If you decide to call in on the phone, just make sure that you mute your computer so that you don't get any feedback. There's a question box at the bottom of your screen. At any time during the webinar, you can type in questions for Kate. We're going to hold those questions until the end of the presentation and then go through as many of them as we can. If you're having any technical problems, you can also type that into the question box. Our Cultivating Success Program Coordinator, Amanda Snyder, is standing by to help you with those technical issues. And then finally, after today's webinar, we will have posted on the Cultivating Success website both a recording of today's webinar and the handouts of all the slides that you're seeing today. So if you're taking notes today, just know that you'll have all of that printed content available through the Cultivating Success website, and you don't have to take all of those crazy notes. With that, I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to you, Kate.
Thanks, Colette. I am so excited to share this topic with everybody today. I started a hand spinning supply business in my basement in 1994 and put it online a few years later. And in about 12 years, I had $200,000 in revenue from putting it online. Small sales out of my basement, and it was really too big for me to handle anymore, so I sold it. Sold the website and the whole business to the current owners of Paradise Fibers in Spokane. So I love to share my experiences and to watch how the industry has changed over time. So today we're going to talk about different approaches for different folks. You have just a few items you want to sell. Do you want to have an online store with a variety of related products? Or do you want your own standalone website? Next up are a couple of polls.
If you haven't been on one of our webinars before, I'm just going to go a little bit over how polls work. We're using a new platform called Zoom this year, and with that, we're going to be able to launch survey questions that you'll be able to answer real time. After I give you a couple minutes to answer the questions, then I'll be able to display the results, and we'll be able to understand more who's on the webinar today and what your experience and interests are. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and go in and launch the first poll. So our first poll has two questions. The first question is asking, what's your role? Are you a farmer rancher, a student, extension educator? You can vote at any time by clicking on the appropriate answer. So I can see that some folks are starting to answer the questions. I can see the percentage of people that's voted. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time for that. Our second question is asking where you're located, whether you're in Idaho, Washington, maybe Oregon or Montana, or outside of the Pacific Northwest. Right now, a little over half of our participants have voted, so I want to give it a little bit more time before we display the results. 72% have voted. So if you haven't voted yet, go ahead and jump in and do that. I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds and then I will show the results. If you're just coming on to the webinar, we're doing a quick poll to see who's on today. Great. With that, I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. and share the results. So as you can see from our results, most of the folks on today's webinar that answered the poll are farmers and ranchers. And we have a couple people that are in support roles, or local food advocates, nonprofit staff, and others. The majority of our participants are in North Idaho, and Washington is a next runner-up. We have a few people in Southwest Idaho and Central Idaho, and even some outside of Idaho in the Pacific Northwest. So that is great. We have two more polls that we want to run at the beginning of today's webinar. This is a really quick poll. We're just wondering, what is it that you want to promote online? With this, you can go ahead and check more than one answer. So let us know. Do you want to find an online presence for your company, your products, or your farm? To sell fresh, dried, or frozen products from your farm? Sell handmade or value-added products? Perhaps advertise or promote information, but not necessarily selling a product? Or are there some other things that you're thinking about? Just about 70% of our participants have voted. 80%. Give it a couple more seconds so you have a time to jump in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end that poll and share the results. So it looks like quite a few people, 85%, are really looking at creating an online presence for their company, their products, or their farm. Another 65% are looking at selling fresh, dried, or frozen products. 69% selling handmade or value-added products. And just over a quarter looking to advertise or provide information, but not necessarily sell products. So thanks for doing that poll. Okay, here's our last poll for this webinar. This is just going to help us understand a little bit more about your experience with online sales and online presence. So the first question is, which of the following statements are true for you? I have a website for my business or a Facebook site for my business. The second question is looking at which of the following web-based platforms have you used as a buyer, as a customer? And the third question, looking at which of the following web-based platforms have you used to sell your products? I'm going to give a little bit more time for this because we have 3 questions. And I can see that folks are jumping in and submitting their answers. So just over a third of our participants have voted so far. Now half of our participants. It'll be fun to see which of these platforms have been most popular for the folks on the webinar, looking at, customers and familiarity. We're up to almost 3/4 of the folks who have voted, so I'm just going to give it a couple more seconds so you can jump in and complete the poll. That would be great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll and share the results. So about 72% of our participants have a website for their business and almost 90% a Facebook page. So that's great for online presence. When we look at where people are buying products or have bought products, we see that Craigslist is really number 1. So very high up there, followed by eBay and Etsy. And then a little bit less than half of folks are using classified ads online and Facebook Marketplace. And just one person said they haven't purchased anything online. And then when we're looking at the different web-based platforms that you've used, a lot of people are using Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, just about a third of our participants. But there are some other things out there that people are using that aren't on this list. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the polling and turn this back over to you, Kate.
Sorry, I moved the slides along a little bit. Well, thank you so much for participating, and I'm really happy to see how many people have their own websites and their own Facebook sites. That helps me kind of target what I'm going to say, because there's a lot of material here, and I want to leave a little time to answer questions at the end. We will be looking at standalone web-based platforms and shops where you list your products, looking at Godaddy, Squarespace, Etsy, Shopify, WordPress, Wix, BigCommerce, and many more platforms. We will also look at options for an online presence for an existing business. And there's many options there: Facebook, Instagram, blogs, email lists, websites, YouTube, Vimeo. It sounds like most of you are already going on this part, reserving a unique domain name if you want your own website, like Amazon.com. This is your web address that you use to communicate online. You may well have a email that goes with your web address as well. And every website has to be registered with the Internet Corporation for assigned names and numbers. You'll need a website host, and these are businesses that have special computers called servers where they store your files and also broadcast your website. Many website hosting organizations will register your domain name for you for free, so you may not see that ICANN type website. It's seamless. They've done it for you. Of course, you want to use a company that has a good, solid reputation, that they're doing it right and not ripping you off. WordPress.com is an open source platform, and that is, it's publicly contributed to, and I like it a lot. It was set up as a blogging platform. But now it does a lot more, and it will do your domain name for free if you get a host, have them be your host. For registering a domain name, the typical cost doing that standalone is $10 to $35. But if you roll it into another set of services, like with your website host, it's often included. Network Solutions charges $1. Godaddy is another platform that's been around for a long time with great technical assistance and reasonable rates. And I really love their instructional videos and articles. So I highly recommend that you go there just for continued learning. I do myself. It has a really good video on there right now that if you've got your website name but you don't have your website up yet, there's a way that you can connect your domain name to your Facebook page. So at this point, if I had my paradisefibers.com, but my website isn't ready to go, it would just take me to my Facebook site for my company when they type that in. So I thought that was really cool. Anyway, I try to keep up on what they're doing, and I do use them. I've got a number of websites that I do as part of work. Another one with a good reputation is networksolutions.com. It's $1 to register your domain. They've been around for 25 years. They're certified. They have very good support. It's nice that there's so much competition out there, because I think it's really made everyone have to be pretty high quality to keep up. So your website server hosts your website, and you send photos and text to the server, which then publishes them for you. The software has been getting better and better the last few years, and it helps guide you through that process. So, and increasingly, you create your website using web-based software. So you don't even create them on your own computer. You don't need your own software program. However, you have to be online. So if you don't have good service, you might have to go to the library or something to work on it. Things have changed a lot since I started doing this 20 years ago. Then we did mention there are places where you can just list your items, like eBay, Craigslist, Amazon, Etsy, Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, eBay, Bonanza. So I'm going to try to talk a little bit about these. Some have been around for a long time, like eBay, and others are newcomers. eBay has started in 1995 in San Jose, California. and it pioneered this wonderful approach of earning ratings for being a good citizen. So if you like your interaction with the person you purchase from, you give them a good rating, and vice versa. It's a great way to be rewarded for good behavior. And it is the largest online auction company in the world. The fees are 10% of the total cost, including shipping, which can add up. And there are many options for upgrading or promoting your listings. And in sites that have become so large, your listings may be very hard to find unless you do some sort of promotional type option, which adds to the cost. Craigslist, it looks like everybody is pretty familiar with Craigslist. It's a local buy and sell service. It's for each, different metropolitan area. Local sales only for the most part. It is the world's largest online classified advertisements. No charge to list most items, with the exceptions being cars, dealer listings, job postings, and some services. There's very good instructions on the site in terms of how to do it. The free category is fun. It helps you get rid of unwanted items or find things. It's great for bulky items like sofas, but you do need to be careful in terms of accepting money from strangers, because it's all on you to make those arrangements and where you might meet them. You may not want somebody casing out your home, for example. Amazon, everyone has heard of Amazon. It sells everything. It has photos you can use for stock items. For example, a book, it will have a photo you can use. The selling fees can be steep. I have found that I make hardly anything anymore when I sell books on Amazon. It's hardly worth it. It's 99 cents per item plus 8 to 20% of the total sales price. For media items, there's an additional $1.80 closing fee. Anyway, it seems to have really added up to not leave much. It is free to list the items. The selling fees are steep, though. The pro is that it's a huge audience. So if you have something that's quite unusual, maybe this is the right place for you. There is lots of competition, like I said, so the prices may be very low. 99 cents for books may not even be worth it. However, if you decide you want to do a lot on Amazon, like a friend of mine had a book selling business where she was getting books from rummage sales, etc. And she had the professional plan, $39.99 per month, which removes the other fees. And it was a very lucrative thing for her. She did a lot of estate servicing and sold books mainly, and did very well. One of the reasons is they have built-in algorithms that recommends your products to people who might be interested based on their search histories. We've all seen that algorithm when we go shopping ourselves. Etsy, a craft marketplace, and I sold a lot on Etsy. I sold the remaining inventory for my business, about $3,500 using Etsy. It is the top pick for profitability and ease of use. There are more than 30 million buyers, which again has the problem of your listings get kind of lost sometimes. And it is limited to items you make, or craft supplies, or vintage goods defined as those that are over 20 years old. The listing fee is only 20 cents. It lasts for 4 months, so there's not much risk in trying this. The commission is gone up now. It used to be 3.5% and did not include shipping. And now it's 5% of the sale, including the shipping cost. That's still not very much. And then you pay another about 3% for the credit card processing fee, which is kind of standard. It has great support for buyers. The seller's handbook online is great. I do a class just on Etsy. It talks a lot about how to photograph your items, which is a skill in itself. Anyway, I recommend that you just check it out, and it's not much risk to try something. You've probably seen these Square readers. They've made it really, really easy for people at craft fairs to take credit cards. Etsy and Square, the credit card reader, now have a partnership, so you can accept payments in person for your Etsy listings using a Square reader. So the Meg Stripe reader is free, and they have a $49 chip reader, which offers a lot more security for the people with the credit cards. Basically, you can still use your phone for a point of sale register, and the fees are very reasonable, 2.75% per credit card swipe. If you key it in, so they don't have a credit card, maybe you're doing it online or something, the person isn't there, it's a little bit higher, but still very reasonable. And they're doing a lot more too. You've probably seen these small retail outlets that are using the Square as a cash register system. Anyway, a lot more options than there used to be. Facebook Marketplace is a lot of you have used. It's super easy. No listing fees or commission. You're on your own for collecting payments and delivering the goods. So again, you need to be careful. Potentially a very large audience, targeted audiences, and you can specify your market area in terms of how many miles from your location. There's just more and more ways to advertise, and you may well have seen some kind of advertising on Instagram. There's also Pinterest, which is more complicated. So I'm going to talk about Instagram. Putting a link in your profile is an easy process. You just need to ask the help or Google it if you don't know how. And you can use that to direct your customer to your website or email or phone. For example, and of course I'm always looking at knitting patterns, this company says, as always, check the link in our profile to get the pattern and yarn at the bottom of a post for the sweater. And so when you do that, when you click on the link on the profile, this is what comes up. Miss Babs yarn, her hand-dyed yarns, here's email or call button, and then a hyperlink that takes you basically to a catalog online website. I'm going to just, for Pinterest is a lot harder to do. You've probably seen things for sale on Pinterest, but you can Google it and find a guide, but it's harder unless you use Shopify or BigCommerce or another built-in system that'll do it for you, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Another newcomer is eBid. It is a new competitor to eBay, no listing fee. The commissions are just 3%, and it is a bid type approach. So I recommend you might want to try out some of these newbies, and I'm going to show you how you might make sure they're legitimate before you do that. Another newbie is Bonanza. It's been getting very high ratings. Its hashtag is everything but the ordinary. So it's a fast growing new marketplace with 40,000 sellers. It's free to list, easy to use, and the average commission is 3%. It varies. Right now you have less competition than using Amazon or eBay, and it does send its listings to Google and Bing, which really helps promote your items. So this is what I was talking about. If you want to get some sort of third-party recommendation, I like websitebuilderexpert.com. It comes up a lot if you just type in e-commerce comparisons, for example, but I have the link down here. And it gave Shopify the highest overall rating and said it was the best all-around e-commerce platform, and it has 500,000 stars. So we'll talk about that. Wix was number 2 in this rating with 4.3. And best website builder, it says. BigCommerce, one I hadn't heard of, got 4.2. Squarespace also got 4.2, and it said it had the best design templates. Weebly said it was a great value for the money, and I know a lot of people really like that, and it has a lot of users, and 4.1 stars. So do check things out before you try them. I'm going to talk about Shopify because it does seem to be a go-to platform at the moment. It has something called Shopify Academy, which is free training to help you build your business, and I thought it was really quite good. On-demand courses. You can really educate yourself. They put a lot of effort into that. Live workshops as well, where you can get help. A lot of business tools, including templates. $82 billion in sales. And you get a free 14-day trial. I do feel like you have to be at a certain level, though, of sales because it's not inexpensive. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I thought the price was there. I believe it's $28 a month is the least expensive. But basically, you can build a functional e-commerce store by yourself without coding skills. And believe me, I struggled to do this. It took me a couple years. And you can use it online and offline, sell whatever you wish. So people seem to really, really like Shopify. You can use a free subdomain, yourstore.shopify.com, if you want. Of course, you can always change that at a later date. They have very good 24/7 support, over 100 online store designs to choose from. Here's the pricing, $29 per month and up. So that's pretty steep unless you are already selling quite a bit. But it does have a free trial. You could play around with it for 2 weeks and then cancel it until you're ready. They have a lot of analysis, a lot of help with management. So definitely I would look at that. Squarespace, also very highly rated, and you can build a professional looking website and online store very easily. Great software support, comprehensive tools and training, and a free trial period again, but not inexpensive. I think the fees would add up. $12 per month for personal plan. You really need the $18 per month for a business website, and then you still have to pay $13 for a transaction fee. While this does sound like a lot, it's nothing compared to rent. I did try for a year to be in a business incubator, and paying $600 a month rent, I decided was really way too much money. So this isn't nearly as much money as trying that. So it depends on where you're at. Squarespace does it really has some wonderful templates though. It has free hosting, but the website is not downloadable. So you pay the $12 per month. Let's say this person is a chef. He wants to advertise what he's doing at his restaurant and not really selling. He's just having an online presence. So he has free hosting. The website is not downloadable. You create the content online, but they have these wonderful templates where everything looks very professional. Photographers, restaurants, musicians, small businesses, fashion designers. It really has a really great look and gives you that online presence. So you can always go and look at the galleries, see if something really catches your interest, is perfect for what you're doing. I really recommend checking things out. A number of people that have taken this online marketing class were artists, starving artists who aren't very good at marketing or promoting themselves, and they really need the world to see what they're doing. Fine Art America is targeted towards those people. It allows you to sell originals, prints, phone cases, digital downloads, greeting cards, etc. They do you upload your art, and they print, frame, mat, ship, print, collect payments, and pay the artist. So basically, you are just doing your art and having it professionally photographed and uploading it. You can also sell from your own website using Fine Art America. They explain how to do that. If you prefer to have, like my friend Carolyn Doe is a fabulous artist. So now she has her own carolyndoe.com, I believe, and there she can sell through Fine Art America. It is free to join, and they set a base price for each product, say a greeting card. Maybe they charge $1.50 or $2. I don't know, but then you decide you're going to charge $5 and you get the difference. So they give you a base price for everything they create, and you decide what you're going to charge. I really encourage you to buy on Fine Art America. It's a great way to support artists. So, and yeah, I just want to encourage people to find platforms that are that are targeted for their products. So if you're an artist, Fine Art America. If you're a crafter, Etsy, and so on. But there's even newer entrants and more targeted sites. If you're a high-end photographer and you want a particular site, Anyway, just do your research and see what prices are being asked, and figure out what works. Now, I really like WordPress. It's been around for a long time. As I said, it's open source and very reasonable. They have something that is their e-commerce add-in called WooCommerce. And it is really not plug and play, not like Shopify or something, but it's very inexpensive, really. The software for WordPress is free, and to not have ads running across the bottom is $28 per year. So we use it for our nonprofit here. It's got a very supportive community of users, so you can get a lot of help, a lot of design ideas for free. It was built as a blogging platform, which is a nice thing to have as well to promote your products. So you can have a blogging part of your website. The WooCommerce, though, is what I'm talking about here. It's $6.95 per month and up, depending on what you're getting. So for an online store, it's relatively inexpensive. You'll have to do some reading and some learning yourself. It's not too bad, and they will help you, but it's not the plug-and-play services that Shopify has. But it's a very supportive community of users. Godaddy, I mentioned before, it's been around a long time. It's very inexpensive and reliable with lots of good instructional videos. Their e-commerce platform is called Go Central. And it's reasonable, $9.99 to $19.99 per month, depending on what you're getting. A free trial, so you can be playing around with it. No charge until you begin selling, which is a good deal. It has an integration with PayPal, and there'll be PayPal fees, of course. But it's been around for a long time. They have excellent customer support. You can get a real human, you can do chat, so they've been very helpful for me. Another highly rated platform is Wix. It's a very popular website building platform. It's a beautiful product, good software. It's better for a small shop, $20 to $35 a month. I do find it, you get what you pay for in a way. It's fairly expensive after you get past maybe the free half price for the first year. So I have used it. It looks good, but just from a cost standpoint, like for my nonprofits or work stuff, I'm moving them to WordPress. It does seem to lack a little flexibility as you grow as well. It doesn't have as many features as some of the others. A new one I hadn't heard about is called BigCommerce, and it is rated as having the most built-in features. You might want to check it out. Considered the best value for the money currently. The monthly plans are $29.95 and up, so again, maybe more than you're willing to pay at this point. Again, I like to use websitebuilderexpert.com to see if there's newcomers who are rising in the ranks in terms of how they're rated. It is nice that there's a lot of competition. So here it compares Shopify to BigCommerce. And Shopify says best all-around e-commerce platform, 4.7, lots of stars. And the BigCommerce says it's the most scalable e-commerce platform. So for a relatively big store, paying $29.95 to have it streamline all of these things is very reasonable. So I just want to encourage you to do research. There are many reviews online. Try to find somebody who's selling something like you're selling and see what they're using. Check out the free trials. Check out all the videos. One thing I want to emphasize is saving your customer email lists. These are your customers. I would always tell myself this as I was filling orders. These people who have already decided to use you, stay in touch with them. I would always try to include something in the packaging. If it wasn't a newsletter, at least some good contact information, because they're already your customer and you want to keep them. Stay in touch with them. There's a reason that every time you go to a website now, there's a big pop-up that says, sign up. We'll give you a coupon. They want those email lists of interested folks. It's much better to have an email list than to try to put something out on the web or on Facebook and you don't know if you're actually reaching people who are interested in you. There are many, many good programs to manage your email contact lists. I used my Emma. I liked it a lot. MailChimp I use now. Fantastic. Constant Contact has been around for a long time. GetResponse is another one. A lot of these are free for the smaller size folks like you and me. So I would just check them out. So using social media to promote your presence takes a lot of time. I do spend a lot of time myself on social media integration of our extension programs. Some of these website hosting programs will have excellent integrated social media services. There are some standalone programs that you might have heard of that help you manage this as well. I just did some recent research trying to get some good lists of what people liked. Hootsuite, Meet Edgar, Post Planner, Sendable. There's a lot. SEMrush 460. They will all post and manage your social media for you. Hootsuite was one that people liked a lot. It wasn't free. Canva.com is worth checking out. There are a lot of templates and a lot of social media integration tools, and it has a free version that is plenty good enough for a small business. eClincher Buffer has a free version. Sprout Social, those ones that don't say free underneath them, those do cost to use. So they're more for a company that has a good budget already for advertising. So research, and not just research, but talk to people, other people. Check out the competition for pricing and other ideas. Read reviews from independent organizations. Of course, self-serving promotion of their own organization might be biased, so you have to, as always, when you're on the internet, look at where the information is coming from. There are forums. There's one called the Warrior Forum that has lots of topics. It's not, you get what you pay for, which is it's free. So that was the gist of my program today. I am really happy, though, to follow up and answer questions right now or later on, and hopefully this has been useful.
Thank you, Kate. If anybody has a question, you can go ahead and type that into the question box now, and I will read off those questions and Kate will answer them. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes in case anybody has a question. Kate, I have a question while we're waiting for other people to type in. So when you create your presence and you've decided how you're going to sell online, how do you start to route people to your online store?
Well, that's a great question. So a good way would be like Instagram, where you say, wow, I've got this pattern and here it is made up, this sweater pattern, and you could say, describe it a little bit in the bottom, say, check out my whatever it's called, the profile, or a link to my website. So that is nice. Facebook posts. If you've got an email newsletter, which I use anytime I realized I was caught up and I was wondering where the sales were, I'd send out a newsletter and get a lot that way. It was wonderful, I thought, as a small business to be able to go to very targeted publications and have a very small ad with my website. Maybe that's getting a little antiquated, but anytime you put out anything, you want to have that link in your email signature, in Facebook sites. You're going to just remember that those are opportunities to use your website at the bottom of every sales receipt. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that? I don't know. I guess our folks can't talk, can they?
No, but we do have a question. So Heather asks, I find myself spending too much time working through the technology and not enough time working with my animals and creating my products. How do you advise striking a balance?
That is such a good question. I tended to try to segment my day in terms of doing stuff on the computer first thing in the morning and just try to set a limit in terms of what hours I spent, or the hours in the evening that you are going to do that. Just say, I'm going to do this for an hour and a half. I'm only doing this till 9 o'clock, because it is a rabbit hole of, just getting distracted. So I guess, focusing on your goals. I think for me, I felt like it took me forever to launch my new improved website, because there were just learning curves that are really hard to jump over. So I'm hoping that we can be offering more as your extension service to help people. We're trying to do that here in our webinar series to talk about things like that. But that's a great question, because you want to do what you love to do, and yet doing the marketing and selling it can take all your time as well. Maybe you can get some help from somebody who's good at it already. I was really, really fortunate to have one of my Master Gardener volunteers. They have a homestead here, and they were able to get to the point where they have videos and post a YouTube channel and all of this. They get enough money from advertising using their videos now that is their job. So that takes a huge following. But if you look around at some of the people that have blogs, for example, they start getting a following. I guess you do have to just set some targets and focus on finishing one thing. Keep exploring around, but do try to get your to-do list done, whether it's your Facebook business site or just, what do I need to do today? I would tell myself that. I was so excited about my fiber-based business, so wanted it to grow and be what I wanted it to be, that every day I'd think, okay, what is it that I can do today that will help me the most to prioritize, to get ahead on this? It is a really challenging thing that you're doing, and I wish you the best. You have to wear so many different hats, but don't be afraid to maybe reach out to somebody who's already doing it, and make some friends that can maybe give you some little pointers.
On that great suggestion of reaching out, Kate, I know that several farmers have reached out to SCORE, which is a retired professionals nonprofit group, and they have chapters in different areas. And SCORE professionals do help with developing your social media presence, and they also have workshops that are more in depth on different types of social media. And then also the Small Business Development Center in your region might have some more in-depth courses or workshops that you could take. So those are 2 additional resources. Kate, we have another question from Jamie. Jamie says, the email marketing part is what I find most difficult. Making sales from various sites causes a disjointed type of storefront. When using an email service like MyEmma, does this integrate with several storefronts, or is this maintained manually?
So the email list is, you send them to MyEmma, and then this has been a little while, so it might be a little different now, but then I would make my template, and my template might have several features and links to those features. So you have an email, a letter basically, that gives links to specific things of interest, and then I would send it up to MyEmma, and it would send it out to my customers, not in the bulk way, but a threaded way. And I know that MailChimp does some really nice, like, 2-step authentication, so that people have said, yeah, I want this email, so it's not going to go in the junk folder. So I get that's the main service, is that people want your email, they have signed up for it, and then they get your email, and it won't go into spam because that line of communications has basically been approved, and it's not coming out in a bulk way, so it doesn't get picked up as bulk. I'm not quite sure if I'm answering your question. but hopefully your letter, you might describe, maybe you have some different websites or different platforms, and you can make that clear. I just think when you're reaching out one-on-one with an email newsletter, it's very effective as opposed to kind of broadcasting via website or Facebook.
Great. Thank you, Kate. Let's see, we don't have any other questions right now. So with that, I think maybe we could go ahead and move on to talk about what's next. So here you see the Cultivating Success website, and as I mentioned, this webinar is recorded and will be posted on the website, and the handouts from this slideshow will also be there on that website. Our upcoming webinar for next week is going to be on Idaho water rights and access. Carrie Boone, who is with Payette County Cooperative Extension, will be our speaker next week. And as you can see, we have a whole host of other very specific webinars, some of them that build on this theme of marketing, that are available. We also have some webinars that are recorded from 2018 that you might want to check out, and we have a link to those webinars on our website as well. Cultivating Success as a program is a partnership of University of Idaho Extension, Washington State University, and Rural Roots. And we're really happy to be able to be launching into this online webinar series. And with that, we really appreciate getting your feedback about each webinar and about what you would like to have in terms of additional topics covered online. So if you could please take a moment to take our post-webinar survey. It's going to launch in your browser immediately following the live webinar, so this webinar, but you can also visit it at a later date, and I've provided the link to that evaluation. And again, thank you for joining us today, for being part of this webinar series, and we hope to see you on another webinar soon.